Power Holding, Niger Delta Power Holding. So they will need all the governors from all other regions to be member of the committee for Niger Delta Power Holding, Nigeria Limited. Wetin concern Kano, wetin concern Northeast. Do you know that as you have NDDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission, they've created, Bukwari created Northeast Commission, sorry, Northeast Development Commission, NEDC. And I bet you, some of you have no idea how much money goes into these two, do you? Right, for the terrorists in northern Nigeria to be rehabilitated and the victims of terrorism, villages destroyed and all of that, NEDC was supposed to be rebuilding homes for people. Hundreds of billions of Nigerian naira has gone into the private pocket of those appointed to man those to man that kind of a committee. All of them, while the victims of terrorism continue to languish at different IDP camps across the north. Fortunate, right? I'll leave it at that, and then we can quickly. I think we should take a stop in Kenya. Okay, it's just going to be an update. All right, there's this Gen Z senator who, before everything got so blown up, was there, and she made an impressive presentation on the crisis that has enveloped Kenya. And I want to share that with you. I've got clip from some of them beating up some of their MPs as we speak. Their vice president says, don't recall all your MPs. Okay? Don't ask us to resign. Wait till 2027 and vote us out. Is that playing? Someone asked. The brilliant lady here, she called us a Gen Z too. Please listen. It's a long watch.
Because of disrespect, but because of respect for the young men and women who have lost lives, who are now muted because they cannot speak due to yesterday's horrifying scenes. We can't go home. Are we trying to say that renovations of windows and offices are more important than speaking for bloodshed and lives lost yesterday? We cannot, Mr. Speaker. And I, as a young person, as the first young person speaking to this motion, as a youth in this house, I am speaking for the youth who are outside of this house. We cannot go on a recess. It is wrong, and it would be completely insensitive to do so. Mr. Speaker, darkness fears democracy. I rarely wake up in the morning wishing for my eyesight to be restored, but what a sight to be able to behold. This last week had me aching with desire to see my fellow youth in the most spectacular display of patriotism, camaraderie, and putting up a first-rate masterclass on demanding that governments be held to account for the entire world to see. And yes, they have seen. But unity, Mr. Speaker, has been violently gunned down in the streets, not by men, but by monsters who have no concern for human life. Although this government has demonstrated that lifeless Kenyan bodies are not to take precedence over their punitive finance bill, young Kenyans have looked their oppressor dead in the eye and shown them that when it comes down to the wire, there are only two times to be brave: when you feel like it and when you don't. My profound disappointment with the current government and its forceful assault on crowds of innocent youth, Speaker, by its nefarious police officers who have gone rogue on unarmed young citizens peacefully exercising their constitutional right towards an uncaring, a corrupt, and wasteful government in their eyes that has turned its back on them, cannot be emphasized enough, Speaker. The brute force used against young, unarmed protesters reveals the operating system built into the fabric of today's government. And when they kill us, Speaker, they're killing themselves. The arrogance from some of these top government officials has been outrageously condescending to young people, disgusting and reminiscent of narcissistic abuse. You call us wankers and clueless children of plunderers. Then you say you're proud of us for making our voices heard peacefully. Then abduct defenseless children using state machinery and escalate a peaceful demonstration of young people with phones, twigs, and water bottles in their hands into barbaric scenes of bloodshed. Young people, Mr. Speaker, were not out to kill. In fact, I was here on this premises yesterday when everything set off. And whilst I was separated from my security guard, Mr. Speaker, I also saw another member of parliament from the National Assembly who is a wheelchair user, who voted yes to the finance bill, also having been separated from his team and his aides and bodyguard. He was stranded, Mr. Speaker, couldn't run, couldn't hide in his wheelchair. And you know what happened when those kids entered this premises? 3 young boys saw this member of parliament who voted yes for the finance bill, and instead of reprimanding him, instead of reading him their minds, giving them a piece of their minds, you know what they did? They actually carried this member of parliament in his wheelchair to the tunnel so that he can go and seek refuge across in Bunge Towers. And then the 3 boys ran back and joined their fellow comrades. That's what happened. These kids don't operate in mendacity, Mr. Speaker. They are moral youth who are just trying to get their voices heard. So this peddling of a message or narrative that these youth are evil, they are killers and criminals, they're not. That is completely misguided and untrue. Why don't these policemen punch in their own weight class, Mr. Speaker? That's my question. I've been asking myself, would they come into parliament and try and abduct or take on Aledama or Lekina? Would they be able to have the balls to come and abduct and violate the safety of Samson Cherargei? They wouldn't, Speaker, because they know that all they're doing is showing a brute force, using their shields and using their armor and using their artillery, pouring it on young defenseless Kenyans. And you know, clinical psychologists will tell you that narcissists will first love bomb you, then they'll manipulate you, then they'll gaslight you into believing their lies, then they devalue you, and finally, Speaker, they discard you once they have what they want. We young people have seen every single stage of these narcissistic behaviors in this government. And since they complained that over 8 million of us did not come out to have our voices heard in the 2022 elections, Mr. Speaker, we are here now. And an estimated 25 million came outside in every corner of the country yesterday to say that we reject this finance bill because we would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. We are not the generation who are silenced with every carrot dangled in front of them, Mr. Speaker. We are the generation that asks questions and demands accountability because we understand that we are rich, and only if the money that we refuse tastes better than the money that we accept. Gone are the days, Speaker, when governments can rely on using methods to numb their people through controlling the media, through controlling education, and controlling the church, which used to be houses of God, and now have turned into dens of thieves. So, Mr. Speaker, we're saying as young people, go ahead, push that narrative all you want about our international financier. That's a scapegoat, because you won't find one. Unity is our financier. Liberation, passion, justice, anger, disillusionment, and dissatisfaction are all our financiers. This is the reason why I oppose going on recess, Mr. Speaker, especially at such a sensitive time in our country. Mr. Speaker, this finance bill is without a doubt designed to be esoteric. I believe that it's relied upon for citizens not to understand this document in full. The Prime Cabinet Secretary said a few days back, if the Finance Bill 2024 fails to pass, the implications are serious. It could result in a complete shutdown of the government and signal a vote of no confidence from the public. These and many statements, Mr. Speaker, are being peddled by government officials, and none of them are true. They tell the public how ominous the failure of the passing of the bill will be, but that's not true. Yet, Mr. Speaker, if the bill were to pass without the consent of the people, it will split the entire nation, and that's not what we want to see. Mr. Speaker, the President still has an opportunity to not put pen to paper. The Constitution clearly says that he has 14 days to assent to any bill that comes from Parliament, and he can still, right now, today, in this moment, decide not to sign this bill into ascension. Mr. Speaker, I just want to conclude so I can give other members a moment to also contribute, but to just say that young people are tired. Young people are exhausted. They don't have jobs. How would they have money to look for artillery and knives and guns? But still, we poured every single piece of armor on these young children yesterday, Mr. Speaker. And as a young person myself, I am disgusted, I am appalled, I am completely beside myself. And I want to conclude by saying that my heart goes out to the families and loved ones who have lost people yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I was disappointed to hear the President's speech yesterday. I had hoped that more unity would have come from it, but there was no empathy for the pain that Kenya is feeling right now, Mr. Speaker. There was absolutely no sign of benevolence when he spoke, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would have hoped that the President would have come to unify, would have stood in that address and unified the nation, but instead he threatened. Instead he was glassy. Instead he was cold. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to comfort those in closing by saying that even though they cut our wings and tie our feet, still we will rise. Viva, comrades. Because of disrespect.
Viva, comrades. Tell me you are not blown away that a lawmaker in Africa was speaking so clearly, so eloquently, that you could hear every word. She said every word. And none of them is not without wow. And that's in Kenya. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in Nigeria. Like where Akpabiole is, where Abbas is. Come on. Don't talk to the president like that. Hey, order, order. You'll be seeing others walking about. So indeed, Kenya is actually really showing us, right, the other part of Africa that a lot of us didn't know. They are well educated. They know about their laws like anything. They are enraged when they saw how they are about to be played. And rightly so, they were ready to die. They died for that. And as for their politicians, they are independent-minded when they want to be. They speak clearly than the rogues you have in Nigeria. Those rogues with pot bellies who actually overrated themselves so much that they consider themselves doing you a favor. They are like Ruto, insensitive, inconsiderate, condescending, because they have the power. They will do everything to blackmail, to gaslight, to try to change the narrative by criminalizing people who reject any of their forceful policy that kind of will destroy you anyway. They will gaslight you. They will, then they will unload all of their weapons on you. They know you are poor. You have no money to buy the same weapon to fight them. But they said you are threatening them. They feel so threatened that they will bring all the armory out to show force. Show force some people you are trying to, come on. I don't have to add much. Let's leave Kenya. So in Kenya, outside their their chamber, their National Assembly, where things happened, right? Many of them can't go back to their constituency anymore. Few of them who went back. Some of them are already wearing t-shirts saying, "We are sorry. I am sorry. I'm so sorry." Like they are wearing shirts and they're uploading the pictures online. Kenyan's lawmaker. So currently, the request is that Ruto must go and the National Assembly must be dissolved. So to those who voted no, they have become heroes now in Kenya. They have become so important. Yeah. But for those ones who voted yes, I have two videos to depict these two scenarios. The first one, he voted no. The second one voted yes. And two different constituencies, how they treated their lawmakers, their MPs. Watch. Did you see that? What are you doing here? Ah! Some of them, they are burning down their properties. They are burning their businesses. Like, that's how angered people are in Kenya, now that they have actually killed people. But in Nigeria, people will take whatever is thrown at them. See my people in Ogun State. Another scenario here in Ogun State. And then there is a woman, very dramatical. Okay, they need to come and fix this road for us. Oh, oh my God.
Ẹ bá wo odò Gúsèrè o. Ẹ bá wo odò ilé ìkún kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ o. Ẹ bá wo. Ẹ̀yin ará Mọ́sá, ẹ̀yin ará Boko Haram. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ o. Ẹ bá fi gbìyànjú sí o. Ẹ̀yin ìjọba wa ẹ jọ̀ọ́ o. Gómìnà Dàpọ̀ ẹ bá ẹ jọ̀ọ́ o. Ìjọba ẹ wá wo àwọn ìyá wa bó ṣe ń dákú sílẹ̀ lẹ́ o. Wọn ò lè kọjá mọ́, ọ̀nà ò ṣe é lọ, iwájú ò ṣe é lọ, ẹ̀yìn ò ṣe é padà. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ gbà wá o, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ wá gbà wá níbí báyìí o. Lógùn State ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ gbà wá o. We implore this government, our political leaders, to come to our aid. Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka Ayokunle, Honorable Folawe Fatiu Salami, Senator Shuaib Afolabi Salisu, His Excellency Governor Dapo Abiodun, please come to our aid in Ogun State at Akulus. From Giwa to this place, there's no road. Road will only receive Baragun. Òun lára àwọn àdìyàn fi ń lọ ibẹ̀ náà ti ń bọ̀. Àwọn ará Gíwá, àwọn ará Matogun, àwọn ará Ọ̀ṣẹ̀rẹ̀, ibi náà ń gbà. Kò sọ́nà tó já sí ẹ bá jà ju bí lọ. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ wá bá wa ṣe because ìyà yìí ti pọ̀ jù. Àárọ̀ náà lọ, gbogbo mọ́tò ló ti bàjẹ́, gbogbo báìkì ló ti bàjẹ́ tán. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ wá bá wa ṣe o, ẹ wá bá wa ṣe, ẹ ṣe.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́. Our mothers are crying. There is no road. Help us. All the communities, Ajiro, Ajese, Ajeja, Ajeku, Ajeye. All of them pass this road. We love this government. Senator Bashiru, Honorable Isiaka, come and help. Do you think the senator and the honorable, they don't know to say the road there? Did many of you not campaign for them on the road? Yeah, I'm not worried. They will come and fix it. I believe. Is this 103 Nigerians deported from Turkey today? And they arrived in Abuja. Some said that they've been locked up for over 7 months in Turkey, where they have been maltreated and all of that before they finally got deported. So they arrived safely home.
But they need to give it everything. Good. It's okay, it's okay.
Sorry. So the fact that they have arrived there safely, I saw someone there who was like, distraught, and I understand, or maybe I won't understand how it feels. I have an idea. Okay. The reasons why many people who are not really, they are not finding it easy. What they told them or what they expected to meet going abroad is not what they met. And they are battling it so much that it is so worse for some. There is no amount of worse it is for them. They just don't want to go back to that Nigeria. They just believe that it was going to be like the place where I left and all of that. Then people who actually get involved in other sort of criminal activities, and they also have to be deported. I have seen people who have who have done crazy things just to avoid being deported to Nigeria. So Oyinbo is good. Oyinbos usually wonder, like, why are you sad to have a free ride back to your country? Like, it's your country, right? You should be happy to go back there. And then you'll be like, no, I don't want to go back there. That place is worse. I am ready to die in this kind of, than to go back there. Because somehow our brain tells us that it's always worse back there. And that is why I do feel what people who are being deported feels like. Alaye, deporting you back to Nigeria it's actually not going to be the worst thing to happen to you, in my own opinion, than to be locked in a system that you somehow, right, you are wasting away. Okay. So when I saw that guy crying, another guy, I was like, I don't know what's going on in his head, but I just feel like he's so disappointed in himself. Right? But you could pick yourself up again and just, if you don't want to stay in that contraption, pick yourself up again, dust yourself up again, and get the hell out of the place if you want to. And I've seen others who said they went back and somehow they were able to recover from the shock of being sent back to that contraption. So why are Nigerians so scared of going back to Nigeria? Why is somebody that is not wanted in a country that you reside, why would you be so scared of going back to Nigeria? A lot of reasons, right? Now I have another question. What do you think someone who is a patriotic Nigerian abroad, he has no document, he has no real means of survival, he is neither here nor there, but somehow he's still there praising the criminals in Nigeria. There are many of them in London, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are people who have no means of even going back to Nigeria anymore. The only way they can get to Nigeria again is